After 3 days of hearings this week on the Kerry-Boxer climate bill, the Senate Environment Committee is now on the verge of beginning the markup process. Or at least committee Democrats are now on the verge. As we reported Tuesday, EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson, during her testimony that day, said that the agency's full analysis of the legislation won't be complete for another 4 to 5 weeks. And Republicans on that committee are now threatening a boycott if the markup process begins before the analysis comes to an end. Now, late this afternoon, I talked with minority staff member Matt Dempsey from the Environment and Public Works Committee, and he says, quoting, "We remain hopeful Democrats will wait to receive a full EPA economic analysis before pushing forward to a markup. If they do move forward next week, Republicans will likely seek to delay consideration." Clean Skies' Dan Goldstein is now back from today's third and final hearing. And Dan, because of the statements we heard today, because of the back and forth among the members, you really saw the partisan tension playing out during today's third and final hearing, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. And it was a marked change from yesterday when it seems like, at least on the surface, the two sides were at least a little bit close together on the all-important issue of energy efficiency and perhaps even nuclear. And, you know, today's partisanship really overshadowed a lot of testimony from a lot of key players. And one of them was John Rowe. He's the chairman and CEO of Exelon Corporation. You recall Exelon, of course, was the company that ditched the Chamber of Commerce over that agency's or the Chamber's stand on climate change, and basically said, no, we don't want to go in the same direction as you do. Exelon, of course, has most nuclear plants out of any utility, so they see basically cap and trade for them as being a win-win. But really, when it came to what we really saw today was a return of partisanship, and that really overshadowed a lot of the testimony. James Inhofe, of course, ranking Republican, said Democrats were trying to do in 2 months what the committee did in 2 years when it marked up Clear Skies legislation, which was designed to reduce sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide emissions in 2004 when the GOP controlled Congress. He was also joined by George Voinovich, Senator Voinovich from Ohio, who had a particularly sharp exchange today with Chairwoman Boxer. He said, quote, and this is Voinovich speaking, quote, "You jam this thing through here, it's not going to be good, and America is going to be very, very upset about it. And I'll tell you one thing, the people in Ohio will be upset about it." And back to the threat of a boycott, Chairwoman Boxer said, quote, "I hope we don't see a boycott of a markup in the landmark bill. That would be tragic in my mind." Now, one wild card, of course, Tyler, is Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina. He is definitely the wild card. And you recall, he wrote an op-ed with Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts in the New York Times about what a compromise climate bill might look like, which he thought might bring a few more Republicans in line, basically saying more nuclear power, more natural gas. And I actually managed to catch up with Senator Graham today on Capitol Hill, and here's what he had to say on the future of climate change legislation in the Senate. Let's talk about your op-ed with Senator Kerry.
Right.
Does that indicate that perhaps that there may be a Kerry-Boxer bill, but somewhere down the line there could be a Kerry-Graham bill?
Well, at the end of the day, you got to get 60 votes, and the environmental policies in the House and the Senate today are, in my view, not good for business. We need to make them better for business. Environmental policies need to be good for business, and I'm trying to marry up a couple of concepts. As a nation, we're held hostage to foreign energy suppliers. We depend more on foreign oil today than we did in the 70s, and that's dangerous. So I'm trying to marry up energy independence with emission controls. I think that's the way forward. You'll get some votes if you could offshore drill for oil and gas in a responsible way, a nuclear title that's robust at create our nuclear power renaissance, which helps you with the carbon problem, and use clean coal because we have a lot of it, but clean it up. Marry that up with a reasonable climate change emission standard, then I think you could get to 60 votes. We will build on what other people have done. This is not starting from scratch. But right now, there's not 60 votes for energy independence. There are not 60 votes for emission controls. I think if you combine these two ideas, there would be. And this is a warning to America. If we do not embrace controlling carbon, the world's going to pass us by.
Looking at this bill, the Kerry-Boxer bill, we just had 3 days of hearings on it. Last day was today. Do you see any action happening in 2009, or is it going to move to 2010?
Well, I hope that we can do something sooner rather than later. We're probably not going to get a bill by Copenhagen, but I hope we can put together, recast this debate. Get the folks who are really excited about national security, energy independence, more excited about controlling carbon. Until you set a price for carbon, the clean energy sector in America is kind of stalled. The day that we set a price on carbon and have emission controls and unleash our entrepreneurs, not only are we going to have a cleaner environment, we're going to have a better economy, and China's going to pass us by. So what I expect to happen is that we will be in dialogue pretty extensively with Republicans and Democrats who are now on the sidelines and get them into the debate. We don't have 60 votes. The way you get 60 votes is you recast this debate. You focus on a clean environment and a more vibrant economy, and you mix the concept of energy independence with carbon control.
Last question. A lot of Republicans, including your colleague Senator Omar Alexander, seem to indicate that if there was a stronger nuclear title, there was stronger support for nuclear, there might be more Republican support for a climate bill.
I think that's true. The debate in the committee the last couple days have been good. Most Republicans did not reject the science. Now, how much the planet is heating up because of greenhouse gases, I don't know, but I do believe it's causing environmental damage. Carbon pollution is not a good thing, it's a bad thing. So the sooner we can embrace a carbon standard, the better. But you cannot replace coal-fired plants with wind and solar. You need a robust nuclear power program like the French have. And if we had a strong nuclear title and we allowed offshore exploration for oil and gas to make us more energy independent and utilize clean coal, I think there'd be a lot more Republican support for emission controls. And to an environmentalist who is worried, you don't have to believe that offshore oil and gas drilling will make us energy independent. You just have to accept that others believe that. And from a conservative's point of view, you don't have to believe that the planet is heating up because of greenhouse gases. You just have to believe that energy independence will never happen without carbon controls.
All right. Senator, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Tyler, one other note that we got a little bit clearer view on another fence sitter on another part of the aisle, and that's Senator Max Baucus of Montana. He, of course, chairs the Senate Finance Committee, but he's also a member of this committee as well, EPW committee. Now, Montana is particularly crucial because they produce a lot of coal. In fact, they're fifth in the nation. In fact, they produce about 5% of all coal in the United States. All of it, almost all of it, is surface mined. Wyoming, of course, is first. West Virginia is second. And he had a lot of good things to say about this bill. He said he was very happy with what he saw as the coal provisions in the Boxer Kerry bill, saying, quote, "The coal provisions in this bill are where the middle lies." So got a little bit clearer on where at least one Democrat is standing when it comes to this bill. Tyler?
And we'll see what happens if and when his Finance Committee gets its hands on this legislation. Dan Goldstein, thank you.